Hello friends. To further our discussion on the Harrier, we shall continue our analysis of the play. Yank Robert Smith is a stoker on an ocean-going ship. He's a gigantic man whose body is thoroughly at home with violence and hard labor. He has an unshakable confidence in his place in the scheme of things. He is the power that moves the world. He is the power behind the ship. All of his co-workers agree to his ideas, except Paddy, a shriveled little Irishman who remembers the lovelier days when wind-driven ships welcomed man into a unity with nature. Mildred Douglas, the daughter of the ship's owner, a steel king, visits the stokehole to look at the other half. When she sees Yank, she can only murmur, "Oh, the filthy beast." The girl's reaction to him shatters Yank's happy ape-like existence and sends him off through a series of adventures in which he attempts to recover his sense of belonging. He tries to attack Mildred's class and ends up in jail. He tries to join the IWW, that is the Industrial Workers of the World Organization, and is thrown out promptly as he is perceived as a stupid informer. Yank finally goes to the zoo and attempts to join forces with the gorilla in order to get back to his persecutors. The gorilla, in the scene in which Yank seems to become a mere symbol, crushes Yank to death. Yank's death is tragic. He finally seems to have some understanding of himself and his nature as a man. But this recognition leads nowhere but to death in an animal's cage. Now, O'Neill himself made it clear that the play was not meant to be either entirely naturalistic or entirely expressionistic, but instead from extreme naturalism to extreme expressionism. The opening scene of the play offers a demonstration of the mixed nature of the play, a mixture of expressionism and naturalism. Everything about the first scene of the Harrier is expressionistic, with the exception of the characters Yank and Paddy and also Long, the communist. In most of the scenes during the play, Yank is realistic, but his surroundings are expressionistic. In the forecastle of the ship, the impression given by the low-ceiling room is that of a cage. In the stokehole, lighting is provided only by the startling fires from the ship's boilers, thus creating a hell-like atmosphere. Roaming the streets of Fifth Avenue in search of Mildred Douglas, the people who pass him are puppet-like. They are the upper-class equivalents of the stokers. The store windows are filled with large blinking price tags. With a few exceptions, all the characters in the play are representative types rather than realistic ones. Yank's fellow workers are not given specific identities. They operate as a kind of chorus. In spite of his expressionistic surroundings, Yank remains largely realistic. There are several things included in O'Neill's stage directions which help the analytic reader to understand why O'Neill wanted his audiences to see that Yank is yourself and myself. he is every human being. The play appears to be about the evil effects of the rise of industrialization and capitalism. It appears that O'Neill attempted to represent on the stage the modern changes in economic and social organization. O'Neill makes an explicit comparison of the Stokers to the Neanderthal man with ape-like posture, ape-like arms, and ape-like hands and faces. O'Neill further universalizes these creatures by saying that the men, although they represent the various civilized white races, are all alike. What O'Neill seems to represent on the stage is men who are both ancient and modern. Yank loses his place in that exceedingly simple society where there are men shouting, cursing, laughing, singing, building up into a kind of unity. He comes to be a self-conscious, thinking individual who stands apart from that unified mass of men. Yank grows beyond the other Stokers in his search for what he is or where he belongs. The rest of the play is a series of confrontations between Yank and the rest of mankind in the form of political, social, and economic institutions. In each case, Yank comes face to face, examines, and then rejects each class, as there are no answers to his questions. He goes circuitously, gradually to the essence of what human is. The Stokers with whom Yank has his identity are in a sense primitive. O'Neill compares them with gorillas. Their coarse group behavior is stressed and they laugh at Yank for valuing thinking. Yank lays stress that he is thinking, he wants to think. They're not only primitive but machine-like. Thus, when Yank leaves that crew, both literally and metaphorically, he moves outside and beyond his place in that primitive society and beyond any possible role he might have had as the machine-like worker in an industrialized, capitalistic, modern society. And when he does make a vague attempt to get involved with the worker movement, he does so with a personal reason and not a sociological mission. Yank describes himself as lacking in love since he grew up without any. He had an unhappy childhood. And also lacking in religion. He has lacked until now a sense of beauty, and his new awareness of the existence of beauty pains him, since it seems a part of an alien world. When Mildred Douglas, daughter of the Steel Trust King, called Yank a filthy beast and covered her eyes to shut him out, Yank's fury at the insult reaches its peak. He expresses it by repeating it over and over. She done me doit. She has belittled him. He tries to eliminate his anxiety by an explosion of physical action, but which have no effect on the people of Fifth Avenue. Yank's awakening intelligence imbues in him a sense of his own dirtiness as far as he can think. He remains tortured with the thought that he is, and he is not, an animal. He's enraged at being called a filthy beast. He continues his battle against what he regards as an attack on the very heart of his dignity. During the movement of the play, Yank is gradually stripped of all those connections and relationships that might allow him to belong. And all the while, Yank is searching to where he belongs. Yank is actually growing all the while toward his fullest stature as a man. In his own peculiar, penetrating way, Yank comes to see clearly what the sense of humanity is. His self-mocking laughter at the end of the play can only come from a human being fully aware of himself. So we shall examine some more aspects of the play in our next discussion. Thank you.